In this video, let us see about a frequently asked question on the Azure Synapse Analytics. Currently here, if you go to the Manage section, you can see currently we have two Apache Spark pool. So there is a frequently asked question like, if we can attach a single Spark pool to two different notebooks at a time. Just like using the Databricks, can I have my Synapse Spark pool attached to two notebooks? And if you're seeing about the possibility, yes, we can do that. And let us see how we can perform this, attaching a single Spark pool to two different notebooks, and you can execute them in parallel. So to perform that, as a prerequisite, let's try to increase our number of nodes. So let's click on this scale settings and let's just increase one more node over here, and let's click on apply. And let's just wait until this has been reflected. Okay, so it is actually showing this as 4 nodes, and let's wait until this has been deployed. So let's go to the develop section and let's create a notebook here. Let's attach this to the medium pool, and you can see that is currently showing the 4 nodes over here. And let's click on this gear icon. So this is the icon to configure the Spark session. If you can click on this, you can see currently 3 executors are available and 7 executors for small pool. Let's ignore this small pool for now and let's concentrate on the medium one. Here, if you're taking 2 executors, one will act as driver node and 2 will act as executor nodes. So currently 3 will be consumed over here. So basically we have total 4 nodes, which means one can act as a driver and one can act as an executor, so that we can attach that to notebook 1, and you can take one driver node and another executor node to notebook 2. So that is how we can make use of our nodes across the notebooks. So let's reduce the number of executors to 1. So one will act as a driver and one will act as an executor. Let's apply the settings. And now let's try to just invoke this Spark pool and let's try to run a cell. Now this will invoke the Spark pool and it will keep the Spark session in running state. Let's wait until this was been in ready. Now we have our pool in running state. Now let's create another notebook. Let's click on this 3 dots and click on new notebook. And let's attach this to the same medium pool. And let's click on this gear icon to configure the session. Here, if you can see the current status, it is showing 50% is being utilized, because in total of 4 nodes, we are making for this particular notebook, which is the notebook 1, we are having one as the driver node and one as the executor node. That is the reason 50% already been utilized. Now, in case if you want to use the same Spark pool for this notebook also, all you need to do is you need to reduce the number of executors, so that one will be the driver node and one will be the executor node. You can click on apply, and you can also just initiate this session. And with this, you should be able to connect the single Spark pool to 2 notebooks. But here's the catch. It doesn't mean that it will work exactly like the Databricks. So let's see what exactly I mean. Let's wait until this has been executed. Okay, now we got this in running state. Now let's see why exactly the reason I mentioned it is not exactly working like an Databricks cluster. So let's try to create some code over here, just like we have seen previously. Just let's type a equal to 10. Now let's try to find some arithmetic result of it. Now we are just getting the result of it, which is nothing but a plus b. Now let's go to the notebook 2 and let's type the result of C. And here you can see, interestingly, we are getting name C is not defined. Although we connected 2 notebooks to the same medium pool, they will not share this data. And the reason is quite clear, because while configuring the session itself, we gave 2 nodes to notebook 1 and 2 nodes to notebook 2. And here the explanation what Azure Synapse Analytics is giving to us. If you can just scroll down, can I run a multi-user Spark cluster in Azure Synapse Analytics? You can see Apache Spark for Synapse is designed as a job service and not as a cluster model. So this means it is not just like the Databricks cluster where a single cluster can be shared across multiple users. Here each session will behave as its own job service. And also we can prove that by clicking on this monitor, and you can see by clicking on this Apache Spark application, you can see these are running as an individual application. You can see there are 2 services which are been running, and each service is a job service. So that is the reason, even though if you are just connecting the same Spark pool to 2 notebooks, that doesn't mean they will share the same cluster. Each will have its own session and each will behave like its own job service. And it also gives some 2 scenarios where we'll be frequently getting from users. Let's see the second scenario so that you will get connected to this easily. So can we have multiple developers on a single cluster to save the money? So this is what we will generally do in the Databricks, but let's see what is the scenario and what is the best practice that Synapse is recommending us. You should give each developer a serverless Spark pool that is set to use small number of Spark resources. Since serverless Spark pool doesn't cost anything until they are actively used, minimizes the cost when there are multiple developers. And the pools share metadata, which are Spark tables, so they can work easily with each other. And we'll be seeing what exactly these pools sharing and Spark tables shortly in the next sections. And for now, you can understand that in case if you have an environment where you need to work with many developers, you can make use of many Spark pools, and you can make use of small pools but multiple pools. So that is how you can make multiple users to work on at the same time parallelly. Now, how can they share the data? And the answer for that we'll be seeing in the later sections. For now, you can understand attaching the same pool to different nodes will not bring any sharing in between them, and each will behave like its own session.